the Midwest, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to be a little bit more specific, home of many things. County Stadium, where it all started in 1953 for the Braves, and baseball's been played here for a long time, now played at Miller Park. Greats like Hank Aaron have been here before. Certainly a great baseball history, which includes many players of today and yesterday, and then, of course, there's the Uke. Bob Uecker with a statue outside and a statue in the upper deck here at Miller Park, where on Pix 11 tonight, the Mets will play the Brewers Game 3 of this 4-game series. Hi, everyone. Welcome inside Miller Park. Another fantastic night here in Milwaukee. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez will be along in just a moment. What a win for the Mets last night. Maybe their most rousing win in the last couple of years. I mean, they were doing nothing offensively, and then fireworks against their former closer, K-Rod, in the ninth, and they find a way to get a 3-2 dramatic win in Milwaukee. And it was behind their first baseman, Lucas Duda, who has really now taken hold of this job and played extremely well of late. How about 3 home runs in the last 4 days for Lucas Duda? This one in Seattle, that one was smoked, and all of them really from his batter smoked. Hit one off Garza, the first game of the series on Thursday, and this one coming up is a biggie off K-Rod with a man on. Yeah, as Gary said, bang, bang, boom, and the Mets had themselves a lead. Duda's been tremendous, and the other thing about him is he has been aggressive. Think about this. Last year, he only hit the baseball on the first pitch 22 times total. This year, he's got 16 hits and 4 home runs swinging at that first pitch. He's been a more aggressive Lucas Duda, and here you see the numbers. Last 35 games, he has put up some big-time production. The home runs are there. The RBIs are there. It's all there. I think the cool thing about this Mets team is also you're seeing some development here. Duda is starting to come in his own, as you saw in that graphic. How about Henry Mejia? This is a guy that simply did not want to go to the bullpen, but he embraced it to be a good teammate and to be a good guy for Terry Collins. Well, guess what? Mejia is now one of the premier closers in the National League, I think. He's closed 14 of the 16 games he's tried to close out, and last night just another ho-hum performance. He walks to leadoff batter, which he did not want to do, and then he comes back and simply gets out of it with no issue at all. He's allowed 1 run his last 14 innings. He's been absolutely tremendous. You know who else was tremendous? How about Zach Wheeler last night? Just dominating type stuff, and this is what the Mets saw. This is what they envisioned when they traded Carlos Beltran for him. Look at this stuff. Fastball, electric. He even zings it in and high and tight and gets the results. 9 strikeouts for Wheeler last night. The only shame is he didn't get a win. He pitched certainly well enough to get the victory, but he has really turned a corner in his production. Last 5 starts, dominating type stuff, and you could see it. He's got that presence on the mound. You kind of feel like he's turning into almost that ace type that all the scouts said he would be when they saw him in the minor leagues. Now on the mound tonight for the Mets, they've gotten great pitching really all year long. Jonathan Neese, his second start coming back from the disabled list. He was okay in Seattle, a little bit of a rust, which he admitted. You saw 11 hits and 4 runs in those 6 innings. Looking to get back on track today. Remember, before that, he hadn't pitched in 17 days. Who's going from Milwaukee? Really, a guy who's having a tremendous year. His second full year in the big leagues. It's a 25-year-old Willie Peralta. He's only allowed 1 earned run in 2 career starts against the Mets. He's making his 3rd start against them here tonight. So it's Peralta and Neese, the Mets and Brewers, Game 3 of 4-game series. The roof is open. Gorgeous night at Miller Park. First pitch coming up next. Tri Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Tri Honda dealer for great deals on the 2014 models. By Verizon, introducing Verizon Fios Quantum TV, redefining what TV can be. That's powerful. By Toyota, let's go places. By the New York Lottery, hey, you never know. And by Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Hey fans, you can follow every Mets game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv, game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Mets' upcoming schedule is brought to you by your Tri Honda dealer. So this long road trip right out of the All-Star break will conclude in Milwaukee. That'll be tomorrow afternoon. But then the Mets go home, and they've got the Philadelphia Phillies coming to town. The Giants will be there on the weekend. Giants made a trade today for Jake Peavy, trying to bolster that rotation. Meanwhile, it's the Mets and the Brewers tonight. Gorgeous shot of Lake Michigan. Gary and Keith are raring to go. They've had their press room tacos fired up for the first pitch. Next.
For the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. Mets have had little solution for Peralta the first two times they've faced him. I'm Gary. He's Keith. Thanks to Kevin for smoothing the path for us.
Kevin, we always like it when Kevin chips in and we give him a break, give him a little airtime, a little more face time.
That's just what he needs. Well, the Mets had a dramatic victory last night. They pulled one out in the ninth inning against Francisco Rodriguez. Remarkably, they're 4-4 on this road trip, considering the fact they've scored 3 runs or fewer each of the last 7 games.
Well, it's all about the pitching, and we talked last night. I know the hitting there. Murphy had 3 hits, but Zach Wheeler just threw the finest ball game I've seen him throw in a Met uniform. He had great stuff. He always throws hard. Location he had, which is something he's getting better at. But he had an outstanding breaking ball and command and threw it 90 miles an hour plus sometimes. So just the best performance I've seen him this year, Garrett.
Here's your Toyota starting lineup for the Mets tonight. Lucas Duda right there in that cleanup spot where he has been hitting like a cleanup hitter. 3 home runs in the last 4 games. Chris Young gets another start in center field tonight with Juan Lagares, who's been struggling at the plate, getting a night off against the very hard thrower from the Dominican, Willie Peralta.
Peralta from Samana, Dominican Republic. He's 25 years of age, 6'1", 245 pounds. That means don't charge the mound.
Does anybody charge the mound?
I understand, but you don't want to charge a guy that weighs 245.
Curtis Granderson leads off. First pitch is low, and we're underway in Milwaukee. Granderson 0 for his last 17. And remarkably enough, it's the 4th time this year that Granderson has had an 0 for as long as 17 at bats. The reason why his season average is at 229, but he's been getting on base a respectable amount and 4th in the National League in walks, and he has continued to hold down the leadoff spot. Swings at the 2-0 pitch and fouls it off, 2-1.
He's 3 for 24 on the road trip, but as Gary said, he's been walking a lot this year. 56 walks, that leads the Mets, and therefore scoring runs.
Murphy and Wright to follow. Granderson swings and fouls that off, and it's 2-2. Met outfielders have struggled so badly the last 6 games. Here are the numbers. The last 6 games, Met outfielders, 3 for 62. Take that in for a moment. 3 for 62.
That's
with
tough.
with no extra base hits. Granderson hits that one out to left field, and Chris Davis is there to grab it, and that's the first out of the night. And amidst that all, the Mets have been holding their own.
And we'll take a look at the Geico Milwaukee Brewer defense, and the Gold Glover in center field, and Carlos Gomez, the former Met. That outfield, Mark Reynolds at first base, the right-hand power hitter, and Lucroy back in the lineup, one of the top hitters in the league. Boy, has he come on as an offensive player for the Brewers.
Well, here is the roller coaster man from last night, Daniel Murphy. I couldn't figure out when the game was over, as Murphy flies that one foul, what his plus minus was for the night.
Well,
he had 3 hits, 2 errors, and a host of difficult defensive maneuvering.
I think he comes out on the positive side. He started that rally in the 9th inning with a leadoff double down the left field line. 3 for 4 on the day, hit the ball hard 4 times. And Daniel, another guy that has been struggling on this road trip. He's 235 on this trip. Here we are, 8 games into the road trip.
David Wright waits on deck. Well, the Mets were shut out for the first 8 innings last night and then exploded in a heartbeat. And Murphy gets this one started with a 1-out single. So Murph's 122nd hit of the year, 3rd in the National League in base hits. And the Mets have the first base runner of the night.
Well, Murph was in a bit of a slump. And Terry Collins said he took around 40 minutes of BP the other night after the game, and seems to have righted the ship. No pun intended.
David Wright, 2 hits last night, including the one that drove in Murphy with the first Met run in the 9th inning.
Really good at bat from David off of Frankie Rodriguez that drove in the first Met run. A 7-pitch at bat. Finally got a base hit off the changeup, a line drive to left field that drove in Murph.
The roof is open for the 3rd straight night, but we're starting an hour earlier tonight, and that creates some issues. As Wright grounds one to short, Segura gets the force, no chance to turn 2. Ball did not hit hard enough, and that's the 2nd out.
Well, not hit hard enough. You just want to make sure to get the lead runner. Murph sliding in hard, and Weeks getting out of the way very judiciously. Good clean takeout slide.
So now the hero of last night's game, Lucas Duda, steps in.
And they're going to start pitching Lucas a little bit differently now. Lucas has come into his own, Gary. He's improving day in, day out, and very comfortable in the cleanup spot. I think he's found a home there.
3 home runs in the last 4 games, 17 now for the year, a new career high for Lucas. And here's how unusual that home run was last night. The last time the Mets had a home run in the 9th inning of a road game that brought them from behind for a win, it was 2009. David Wright did it in Philadelphia 5 years ago. Wright takes off. Lucroy's throw not in time. Wright has a stolen base, his 5th of the year. David has not been doing a whole lot of running, but Peralta is notoriously slow to the plate, and the Mets taking advantage.
5th stolen base for David. Been caught 4 times. Tagged on the head, on top of the helmet here.
Made it a pretty close play.
Sure did.
So a runner in scoring position for Duda, but now an 0-2 count. Right at 2nd and 2 down.
Well, this was the game winner. Goodbye.
First pitch, fastball, parked.
Nice catch by the bullpen.
Eric Langell with the catch. That's bullpen catcher.
So Lucas starting to live up to his potential, and it's nice to see. A lot of hard work, a good guy. Mets been very patient with him.
Well, the Mets made their choice, and increasingly, day by day, it appears as though they have chosen correctly. Line the other way. Davis coming over, and he makes the catch. to end the inning. Duda hitting it hard to the opposite field. But Peralta able to sidestep trouble in the first. John Neese takes the mound when we come back. Toyota lets go places. Jonathan Lucroy back in the lineup tonight for the Brewers after getting the night off last night. Otherwise the same unit that's been out there the entire way for the Brewers through this series.
Well, Jonathan Neese, his second start since his DL stint. His last start was not a good one. He was very rusty in Seattle. He really had a 16-day rest there for that shoulder. So he's looking to get back on the beam. And we'll take a look at the Geico defense. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Chris Young out in center field. This is the 3 of the last 4 games he started in the outfield against a right-hander, which is kind of interesting.
It really is interesting, Keith, because, you know, Terry Collins made it very clear that he was not intending to play Chris Young against right-handers. And then all of a sudden that's changed this last week. And it makes me believe that somewhere in the organization they are trying to shoehorn Chris Young into this lineup, trying to somehow get some production out of him. It's been a year and a half now. He's the same player in Oakland last year, hasn't produced this year, and for some reason they think that that's going to change, which to me doesn't make any sense.
Well, with Neuenhuis surprisingly sent down, Chris Young is going to play center field when Lagares needs a rest. Lagares in a bit of a funk since coming back from his abdominal injury.
But that certainly begs the question, why isn't Neuenhuis here to be that backup center fielder?
Well, it just makes me feel that, I mean, Lagares is going to get the Lions' share of the playing time, Gare, and I just think the guy out in left field, Eric Young, is going to get more playing time against right-handers.
There's Carlos Gomez, 2-2 count, and Neese strikes him out with a curveball. So a good start for John, who had his troubles in his first start back from the disabled list in Seattle on Monday.
Well, that's a pitch you said, Gary, that he couldn't get over. I was not in Seattle. So 16 days off is significant, and he had the little shoulder problem, and it was just wanted to give it a rest. It was a perfect opportunity with the All-Star break. His last start prior was July 4th, actually, before the All-Star break.
Here's Jonathan Lucroy, 2 for 4 in this series, including a home run in the first game, and he takes up and away for ball 1. Lucroy 5th in the National League, hitting at .314. He is having an MVP caliber season for the Brewers, and he bounces one down to David Wright, and quickly Neese has 2 outs. Keys to the game brought to you by your Tri-State Kia retailers.
Go ahead, Gary. What does that top line say?
Hey,
Fonzie, of course. They won 6 out of his last 7. The Mets' 1-run games. Exactamundo. That's perfectamundo for me. 16 more wins in 2013 on this exact date. And whoa, Fonz, what are you talking about?
Now the guys in the truck, they had the choice of going with the Happy Days theme or the Laverne and Shirley theme,
right.
and they went with Happy Days.
Yes, they clearly made the wrong choice.
Now you say that because
my Fonzie invitations are brutal.
Because you're better at Lenny and Squiggy.
Well, we have fun with it. Oh, actually, I have met Henry Winkler, and he is a huge baseball fan.
Ryan Braun had a 12-game hitting streak stopped last night. 1 for 8 in this series, and a monstrous home run against Daisuke Matsuzaka on Thursday night. Daisuke, by the way, on the disabled list now. They're going to rest his elbow for a week to 10 days. They don't know if they're going to need surgery. They're hoping not. Good curveball by Nice, 1-2. So Buddy Carlisle was back with the Mets to take Daisuke's spot on the roster.
And Torres is going to become the long man now, which I really felt when Daisuke went out to the bullpen that it really was going to strengthen the bullpen. Obviously, it would give him a real legitimate long man. Now it's going to be on Carlos here. I don't think he minds. He likes the work.
1-2 from Nice, and he misses away. 2-2.
So the Brewers 16-10 this year against left-handers, as they should be. They're a predominantly right-hand hitting ball club.
However, you look at their batting average against lefties, it's 19 points lower than against righties, which doesn't make any sense. Floated into shallow center, and Braun's got himself a 2-out hit. So the Brewers have their first hit, and Ramos Ramirez comes up. Mentioned the earlier start tonight, and creates somewhat of an interesting condition for the center fielder. You've got a lot of sunlight out in center at this earlier hour, and that's what Chris Young has to deal with right now.
Correct. And you can see him put his glove up in his eyes just to see where the sun is.
No sunglasses. Braun at first and 2 down, and Ramirez takes a strike. Ramirez 0 for 8 in this series, but he had a huge at bat in yesterday's game. After Murphy made an error on a double play ball, Ramirez had a 9-pitch at bat before hitting to a fielder's choice that drove in the first run of the game. There's a good curve by Nice. He's got that going early. 0-2.
Well, he's determined here. Usually when someone comes off a bad start, that 5 days in between, they get awful antsy and are very anxious to get back out there for redemption. And John spot on with that big sweeping curve of his.
Goes right back to it and bounces it. 1-2. Well, Nice is returning to the venue where he made his major league debut, and that man, Ricky Weeks, greeted him with a leadoff home run. It's almost 6 years ago.
That's hard to believe.
September of 2008.
Watch these guys in their early 20s. Now they're in their mid to late 20s, and it means, Gary, what does that mean?
It means we're getting old.
It means, yes. We're advancing right along with them.
Sometimes faster.
They'll never catch us.
You see the career numbers for John. He beat the Brewers earlier this season. Actually didn't beat them. He pitched very well. 7 2/3, 1 run, 6 hits. Wound up with a no decision. Here's the 1-2, and he gives Ramirez one outside. John now 27 years old. Just remember him in the clubhouse before that first start in 2008 with the hoodie hiding his face.
Yes.
Nervous as he could possibly have been.
I remember.
And how he has matured over the last half dozen years.
Well, he's 2-0 lifetime in 6 starts against the Brew Crew. 4.64 earned run average. Not sparkling, but 2-0 nonetheless.
Full count to Ramirez, so Braun will be on his way. Duda still holding against him. And a broken bat looper. Murphy over to make the grab. Nice play by Murph to retire the side. So Nice gets his way through the opening inning thanks to a nice running grab from the Murph. After one in Milwaukee, Mets and Brewers, no score. rapt attention. Get to Citi Field Saturday, August 2nd for Fireworks Night, presented by Dwayne Reed, following the Mets game against the Giants at 7:10. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Second inning, no score. Travis d'Arnaud leads off against Willie Peralta. d'Arnaud 1 for 7 in this series, and he takes away for ball one. d'Arnaud, Chris Young, and Wilmer Flores. Mets have the pitcher batting 8th tonight, something that Terry Collins has done periodically to get Eric Young in that 9-hole. Chopped down to third, easy play for Ramirez, and d'Arnaud retired, one away. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Chris Young. Young over the last 12 games, 4 hits and 34 at bats, dropping his average to 195 for the year.
And 1 for 12 on the road trip.
Juan Lagares has been struggling, took some extra batting practice today. I mean, the issue with Lagares is he's gone back to his old chasing ways.
Yes. He's speeding everything up and chasing bad breaking balls, and he's thinking too much and they're becoming too mechanical.
2-0 to Young. Wilmer Flores getting the start at shortstop today, waiting on deck. Well, those were Chris Young's numbers last year, and he's basically been the exact same player this year. And the Mets, the Mets took a gamble. They were hoping that he would recapture the glory that he had back when he played for Arizona, and it just hasn't happened. It's been the same sub-replacement level player that he was in Oakland last year. And that's off the plate, 3-1 to Young.
You know, it's been a year for him. I've seen enough that even when he hits the ball hard, he can't catch a break. Hits it at someone. So,
well, the funny thing is, he looked great in spring training. He had worked with Rod Carew in the offseason. He was working and using the whole field. That has completely gone by the boards. All he's looking to do is yank a ball out of the ballpark.
Well, I've got to feel he's lost confidence when you're hitting under 200. It's not fun.
Seen a lot of that. A lot of balls pulled foul.
Yep, he's become definitely a pull hitter.
Wow. Superman and Superwoman.
I like the hair.
Where can you buy those? And Young draws a walk, so the Mets have a 1-out base runner.
That's hilarious.
Do you have to be fitted for hair like that, or does it come straight out of the box?
Why on earth would you want to come to the ballpark dressed as Superman and Superwoman?
We're providing the answer right now, so you can get on TV. It worked. Here's Wilmer Flores as Young gets the hand back to the bag. Willie Peralta, 25 years old, first full season last year with the Brewers, struggled the first half of the year and then really hit his stride at midseason. And he has converted that into a big year this year. Going 97 miles an hour.
Yeah, he's a big, strong kid, big cutter. Flores getting his second start since his call-up due to Tejada's beaning in Seattle. Who I talked with Ruben. He said he's fine. No ill effects.
He looked fine last night.
He sure did.
Didn't have a hit.
Yep.
It certainly appeared as though there were no ill effects from the beaning. And it's going to be a juggling act now for Terry to try and figure out how to get Flores into the lineup enough while maintaining Tejada's playing time, which he certainly has earned with the way he's played the last 2 months.
Well, Tejada hasn't been hitting since the break. He's had a tough road trip, but he's been playing very good defense. So you give up a little defense when you play Flores, and it's a tough spot for Flores. He's not playing. young player that wants to play every day, it's a tough spot for him.
Well, that's what happened the last time he was here. There was just no spot to play him, and he had to go down, and he tore it up when he was in Vegas.
My feeling is Ruben with this glove has got to be get the lion's share of the playing time.
I mean, the natural solution would be if Flores were able to play the outfield, but that does not appear to be an option right now. Could play him in left field, but nobody's thinking in those terms right now. And there's really no other spot for him to play. Slowly hit. Ramirez charging. And he gets Flores for the second out as Young moves to second. I mean, you're not going to sit Murphy very often. You can play Flores there occasionally. You're certainly not going to sit David Wright very often. You can play him there as well.
If you had an offense clicking, and the Mets are playing well because of the pitching. We mentioned that, and the pitching has been keeping everybody in the ball game. The rotation's been great. The bullpen's been fantastic. Then you could afford, if the team was clicking, to have a Tejada in the lineup hitting eighth.
Here's Nice batting eighth, fourth time he's been in the 8-hole. And it's really not about the pitcher hitting eighth. It's more about Eric Young hitting ninth.
Correct. And when Eric Young plays, he's electrifying. And I really got to commend Eric. He's had such a tremendous attitude. He's accepted his bench role. And when he plays, he hustles, and he's a spark plug. He's a professional.
Nice had a good year at the plate last year. He hit over 200.
Yep.
This year, just 1 for 28. So it's been a whole different story.
19 strikeouts, 4 walks, 3 RBIs. His only hit is a double. He's a threat up there. They just get wise, and they know that he's a good hitter. They're going to pitch him differently, Gare. Peralta looks like he's fighting himself a little bit, but he's missing with his fastball low, not up, where you can really get hurt.
That's a faced Peralta twice before. He's beaten them both times, given up just 1 earned run in 14 1/3 innings in those 2 starts. And he misses Denise, and he's behind 3-1.
So he's got to go after him here.
One of the reasons Peralta's been so successful this year is that he has cut down on his walks, down from about 3.5 per game to 2.4 per game this year.
He's 33 walks and 126 26 innings plus.
He's already walked 1 in this inning, now behind on Nice 3-1. And John takes a strike.
Good knee-high strike right there. Good pitch.
Young at second and 2 out. 3-2 to Nice, and he fights it off.
Well, John was part of that tremendous offer the Mets starting pitchers had in the first half of the season. How long was that offer here? It was just incredible.
In the 60s somewhere before they finally snapped it. Maybe 70. It's crazy. Pickoff try, and Young just gets the hand back in front of Segura's tag.
And that's a good attempt right there. God, if you're successful in picking them off, you got the pitcher leading the inning off next inning. So why not? Close.
Three-two. Fouled away, so he's giving a good account of himself here, making Peralta work.
No, Peralta's going to come after him when they pour the fastball. He doesn't want to walk him.
Willie Peralta hit a skid in late June, early July, but the last 2 starts, 2-0, 0.64, held the Reds to 1 run and 3 hits in 7 innings on Monday. So he's back in a groove. But he walks Nice, 2 walks in the inning, including the opposing pitcher. So Nice draws his 5th walk of the year. And the Mets have 2 men on for Eric Young.
Well, there's Eric Young's numbers, and Gary, you can see how the Mets play when he's in the lineup. He gives them the speed that they lack.
And with Granderson hitting leadoff, he gives them that double leadoff hitter with Young hitting ninth and Granderson first. Hitting him ninth is not intended to be an RBI spot, but it proves to be one here with 2 out and 2 on. Chris Young at second, Neese at first and 2 out. And the breaking ball misses. Ball 1.
Home plate umpire Mark Ripperger. Or was it Ripperger?
I think that's Ripperger.
Okay, so I thought. Very German.
Well, we're in Milwaukee.
Absolutely.
Ball and a strike to Eric Young, whose dad played here for the Brewers. In fact, as Eric tells the story, it was while Eric Young Sr. was playing for the Brewers and they were at Shea Stadium that EY Sr. and Jr. had that conversation where Eric decided that he wanted to play baseball rather than accept a baseball scholarship at Villanova, and he set his career path.
A little better on the body. Baseball.
2-1 now. So Peralta really having trouble throwing strikes, something that has not been a big concern for him this year.
Well, he's around the plate. He's just missing a little bit. So you got to get after him. He might make a mistake. Be ready for that fastball.
Granderson standing on deck. 2-1 to Eric Young. And slammed foul. 2-2.
Notice how he missed early in this inning. First inning and early in this inning down low with his fastball. And with Neese, he elevated it. He didn't want to walk Neese with 3 balls, excuse me. And now he's made 2 fastballs belt high up to hit that Young just didn't get the barrel out.
Peralta about to throw his 25th pitch of this inning. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Eric Young. And he struck him out. Got him with a slider. Side retired. First strikeout for Willie Peralta, and he works around a couple of walks. Middle of the second in Milwaukee. No score. Out. Is it Henry Aaron? Nope. It's Bob Uecker, who has not one but 2 statues in the ballpark, one outside and this one inside in the Uecker seats, as they call them, where people pose with them.
Nice.
That's Ueck's private parking spot.
What's he driving there? He's driving a Vet. He sure is. Nice burgundy color there. Sweet.
Nobody else parks there. That's just Ueck.
There he is. Played here for the Milwaukee Braves. Backup catcher.
And a Milwaukee native. So he is Milwaukee through and through.
What an outstanding career he has had. What a diverse career. Had his own TV show. Mr. Belvedere, right?
Now, Folks, he's not on the honor roll for his playing career. His playing career, as he made a great living telling people, was not very good. Wilmer Flores throws out Ricky Weeks for the first out in the second. I mean, that's how he got started, by being self-deprecating about his career, going on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and
precisely
making people laugh.
He was also in a Miller Lite commercial when Mark Throneberry was in that.
Well, that's the whole thing about the Euchre seats. That they say, "Oh, I must be in the front row," and then you see him up in the last row.
Well, he's loves a great lover of life. Always a happy-go-lucky guy, funny,
and also a great nuts and bolts everyday radio play-by-play guy.
I like his home run calls,
which is also demarcated in the outfield above Bernie's slide. Chris Davis grounds one down to right, so Nice get a lot of ground balls early in this game. 2 out and nobody on. I mean, people go up there the entire game to take pictures posing with Hugh up in the back row seats. His home run call, of course, is get up, get out of here, gone, and it is it's out there lettered above Bernie's dugout in left field. Here's Mark Reynolds with 2 out and nobody on. Reynolds 1 for 3 in this series. Lyle Overbay played first base yesterday after Reynolds played the first game of the series. Reynolds gets all the starts against the lefties. He also got a start against a right-hander Thursday because he had hit 2 home runs the day before. And Ron Orenick is a hot hand kind of guy.
Well, he's an all-or-nothing hitter. He strikes out a lot. Like a Dave Kingman type hitter. 95 strikeouts this year. He hasn't played full time. That's a lot of strikeout. He always strikes out, but always hits the home runs.
1 year struck out 223 times.
It's inexcusable. By the way, John's throwing very well. And I'm just thinking, you know, we're looking down the road here. I know we got a lot of season left, but if you look at this rotation that the Mets have, you throw Harvey into the mix if he comes back and is his old self, with DeGrom, Nice, Wheeler coming on. I mean, I don't think there's a starting 4 that can top that. You know, they got to keep on doing it. You're only as good as your last game. But that man on the left there, that was the finest performance I've seen him in a Met uniform. He just was outstanding.
Well, those two guys, DeGrom and Wheeler, have put together a remarkable string over this last 6 weeks. That's called third strike, and Reynolds is caught looking to end the inning. Second strikeout for Nice, who sets the Brewers down 1-2-3. On to the third with no score. Well, tailgating is big time here in Wisconsin.
You see the Green Bay Packer logo in the background there. It's not football yet, is it?
Well, that's religion. That's, that transcends sports.
Oh, look at that. Oh, sweet.
Your Brewers salt and pepper shaker. Very nice. Curtis Granderson leads off for New York as we go to the third. Granderson flied to left to lead off the game. Now 0 for his last 18. And Willie Peralta misses low. Peralta walked a pair in the second inning, was able to get out of that jam. Mets have been playing games like this day after day. Good pitchers duels. A run here, a run there. Granderson drives one to center. Gomez got turned around and he loses it and it hops off the wall. And Granderson breaking that 0 for 18 with a long double that got the Gold Glove center fielder twisted in a knot. 17th double of the year for Granderson.
Tough time of day. You'll hear still got sunshine, but the field in the shadows. Two-seamer. And right into where Curtis likes it, down out over the plate. And Gomez just totally misplayed it. I don't think he would have got there anyway. That ball was a short hop off the center field fence.
So the Mets have their second hit. Granderson in scoring position with nobody out. Murphy had the first hit, single to center in the first inning. And Murphy rolls one to the right side. That'll advance the runner. Nice play by Reynolds, and they get the put out. But Granderson moves to third.
Well, I was just going to say it would be incumbent on Murph, particularly if you remember this team. We watch this team pretty much every day. You're struggling offensively. All your games are close and tight. Murph in that 2-hole. Granderson leading off particularly with Eric Young in the 9th hole. It's incumbent on you to advance that runner, and Murph did a good job there.
Now the Brewers are going to bring their infield in. That's certainly a testament to the way these games are being played. Infield in the third inning. David Wright into a fielder's choice his first time up. And takes it low from Peralta.
Well, David not exactly having a great road trip. 226 on the trip, 7 for 31, but
it was a really good number right there, though. 20 out of 26 getting a runner in from third.
His power numbers aren't there, but he's been driving in runs of late.
52 RBIs, one behind Duda for the club lead.
And I don't care how you drive them in, whether they're base hits, doubles, triples, or home runs. Just drive in those clutch runs.
Peralta behind 2-0, and Wright goes after the fastball. Big uppercut swing.
Big overswing. Just too big a swing right there. David hitting .302 with runners in scoring position. That leads the team.
And he takes that one just out of the strike zone. 3-1. Correct me if I'm wrong, Keith. When David is not hitting home runs, does that tend to drive him to take more of those big uppercut swings, trying to hit home runs?
I think that he's gotten into a bad habit. Somewhere his power has diminished.
There's a strike, 3-2.
Somewhere he's not as heavy as he used to be 4 or 5 years ago. He's really in great shape. And he just hasn't got the power he used to have. Now, where it went, I have no clue. But he's a guy that's used to hitting home runs, and I think it bothers him, of course.
3-2. And he walked him. So Wright is on with a walk. And Duda will come up with runners on the corners. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. So 3 walks now given up by Peralta, who's been averaging less than 2.5 per 9 innings.
I would put a hold sign on David at first. I'd leave that hole open for Lucas.
Duda drove one the other way his first time up, and Davis caught it in left field. Davis playing over that way again toward the left field line.
Oh, David had a 3-foot lead and had to dive back. Completely got caught by surprise.
He was stepping in the wrong direction.
He had no lead, absolutely no lead. He threw over.
David stole a base in the first inning. Peralta, a guy who gives up stolen bases fairly readily.
That is not an aggressive lead.
And a breaking ball to Duda for ball one. Who's Hot is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Duda, last 14 games. That's hot.
Well, he's been scalding the last 35 games. If you go back to June 13th.
Same slugging percentage if you go back those 35 games, 633, and OPS over 1,000. So, and I think that, you know, watching Duda attack first pitches the way he did last night, that changes the game plan.
Yes,
you saw
I agree.
Peralta with the first pitch breaking ball there.
And we all know when that started to change.
Look at the difference swinging at first pitches. He's doing it more often and enjoying more success when he does. Something he was very reluctant to do, particularly in RBI situations in the past. Not anymore.
Good slider. And that's what he's got to learn. Now, that's a tough pitch to lay off. And I know what they're preaching here, get a pitch to hit. And you got to recognize you're 1-0. Do I want to hit a real hard pitcher's hard slider down and in, which is a strength for Peralta? No, so you take it. And that's just recognition. And that's going to come with experience.
These are situations where Duda has not thrived. He's only 6 for 18 getting a runner in from third with less than 2 out, which is not good at all.
But this is a different Lucas right now. This second half of the season, you can just see the pitchers pitching him more carefully. When you're 2-1, you've got a pitch to hit. You be aggressive, but you don't want to lose your aggressiveness and look into too small a box. He should be able to cover the whole plate.
Another breaking ball, and Peralta's behind 3-1.
I mean, this is a sweet pitch to hit right here. And you see that's a breaking ball he threw him. If he's going to pitch him 2-1, 3 a breaking ball, he doesn't get it over. Now he's got himself behind the 8 ball, 3-1.
Well, he's pitching like he wants no part of Duda. You got Darno waiting on deck.
Fastball away, and if he gets it down, he might be rubbing up a new one.
And Duda cracks one into center field. Gomez coming on, can't get to it. Base hit. Coming in to score is Granderson with the first run of the game. It's an RBI single for Lucas Duda, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead.
Another fine at bat by Lucas. Big leg kick, and he's going up the middle. Remember, his first two-seamer hit a line drive down the left field blind. His first at bat, right at the left fielder. Why he was playing them there, I don't know. But this is something we haven't seen all year. Lucas using the entire field. First 2 at bats, hasn't pulled a ball.
So Duda drives in his 54th run of the year, and his hot streak continues. First run of the game brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Peralta just got a visit from his pitching coach Rick Kranitz. Granderson doubled, right walked. Duda singled in a run. Now 2 aboard for Travis d'Arnaud.
54th ribeye steak for Lucas. That leads the Mets in that category.
Now 2 ahead of Wright for that honor. d'Arnaud grounded out to third base his first time up.
But Peralta's been just really struggling with command of that fastball. They would get him now. Don't let him get a rhythm. Get the dagger out and don't be afraid to use it.
Both last year and the year before, Peralta was rated as the Brewers' #1 prospect. Made 32 starts for them last year. Got it going the second half, and he has been terrific. Just 25 years old, but he is struggling tonight. Let's try to take advantage. d'Arnaud pulls one just foul.
Well, you got a pitcher on the ropes struggling. This is when you want to get him here. These are the kind of at-bats you want to thrive in.
Tomorrow the Mets are going to face the Brewers' #1 prospect from this season, Jimmy Nelson. Big kid who throws hard.
And the Brewers are going to get a very hot prospect in the New York Mets.
Rookie of the Year candidate in Jacob deGrom. 1-2 in the dirt, and Lucroy can't keep it close enough, and the runners move on. That's good base running by Wright and Duda on a ball that didn't get all that far away from Lucroy.
This is it's like a I think he's throwing a changeup or a splitter, and that's in the dirt. Probably not a splitter. That pitch is kind of shunned on now by management.
So a wild pitch puts two in scoring position and brings the infield in. 2-2 to d'Arnaud, and he lays off, and Lucroy blocks that one. And Wright has to stay at third. So it is a big time struggle for Peralta right now.
Nice block.
Let's have a run home here in the third. Base hit here, could play a pair. 3-2 coming to d'Arnaud. And he fouls it away. Ryan Braun is playing awfully deep in right field.
Yes,
opposite field against d'Arnaud.
Yes, he is. He's primarily used to played left field most of his career.
Moved to right this year.
And again, we see the defense on the infield. Last night we noted that the first baseman way off the line, Mark Reynolds. Last night it was Overbay. Really a crowd over there on the right side of the infield.
Again, the 3-2, and d'Arnaud pops one up. It's going to be Braun. He's got a long way to come to get it. And gets there for the out. And Wright can only fake his way down the line.
Where is the first baseman on the cutoff here? Got the infield in. That is not your ball.
Well, Braun was able to cover that ground, but it's only because that ball was hit so high in the air. And Peralta gets a big second out.
The infield's in. Look how deep Braun is. Now this ball's way in the air. Okay, fine. No. That's not. Come on. No. You got to be on the grass. Oh well.
Maybe he was just afraid that Braun was so deep that he might not get there.
Well, he's late in reading that Braun was going to catch it.
So now 2 out, and it's left to Chris Young, who drew a walk his first time up. Right at third, Duda at second, and 2 down. And another block by Lucroy, this time on the slider.
Boy, I tell you what, as a hitter right now, you got to be looking for a fastball. Peralta is he's searching for it. Even though he's got an open base, don't let a fastball get by you.
Chris fouls away the fastball. 1-1. Now this would be somewhat of a disappointment for the Mets if they come away with only 1 run. Double from Granderson, walk to right, hit for Duda, wild pitch.
Yes, d'Arnaud slowed down a bit at the plate. But I still like the way he's swinging.
1-1 to Chris Young. Right at Weeks. And that retires the side, and Peralta gets off easy. The Mets score just the 1. Lucas Duda drives in the run. Got the last 2 RBIs last night and the first RBI today. 1-0 New York in the third. Service fees for any tickets purchased for any remaining game this season. Hurry to save because this offer is only available until Tuesday, July 29th. That's Mets.com/no fees to purchase tickets without any fees. No fees. No fees. Gene Segura leads off. John Neese had thrown 10 straight strikes before throwing that first pitch ball. Neese now with a 1-0 lead. Segura 1 for 8 in this series, had a 2-run triple against Dylan G on Thursday night, and Neese falls behind him 2-0. The pitcher Peralta on deck, and then Carlos Gomez. Neese has allowed just a soft single to Ryan Braun in the opening inning so far. And there's a strike. Peralta on deck. He is no Giovanni Gallardo with the bat.
No, he has similar numbers to Jonathan, actually. 3 for 35. He's got 2 RBIs, though. 2 doubles out of the 3 hits.
You know those pitchers, they'll surprise you sometimes. And Segura takes ball 4, so not the way Neese wanted to start the 3rd inning, walking the number 8 hitter. And now Peralta can go up there and bunt. Peralta has 4 sacrifices this year to go with his 3 hits.
I think important to note for Met fans, the Washington Nationals have been defeated today by the Cincinnati Reds. They were shut out.
Johnny Cueto out dueled Gio Gonzalez 1-0.
And David Wright again aggressively playing in at 3rd for the bunt.
And Peralta gets it down. Neese has a play at 2nd, but turns it down and goes for the shore out. 1-4 on the sacrifice.
I didn't think he had a play, Gare. I thought he deadened it enough. Let's take a look. He would have to come up and just throw it right. No hesitation.
So he got the shore out. So Segura in scoring position, and Gomez the batter.
Gomez hit a home run in last night's game, his 15th. Really 2 hits last night. He has become a superstar, in my opinion.
John struck him out with curveballs the first time, and he starts him off with a curve. Well, this is an interesting stat. Gomez is halfway to 30-30. He's got 15 home runs and 19 stolen bases. There are only 3 other players in the majors right now who have 15 homers and 15 steals. Now, I got one of them easily. The other 2, I never would have gotten.
I would say Mike Trout.
No. Andrew McCutchen is the one I got off the bat.
Yeah, sure.
The other 2 are Todd Frazier, the Reds, and Brian Dozier with the Twins.
Really?
Yeah. So those are your 4 halfway to 30-30 guys at this point in the season.
And we're beyond the 30, the halfway point, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're almost at 2/3 of the season.
Someone's going to have to get very, very hot.
1-2 to Gomez. Got him looking at the fastball, and Gomez is struck out for the 2nd time.
Good pitch, Jonathan. Inside fastball. Head in the count.
Got Gomez going backwards. It was such a good pitch.
Well, Lucroy hitting .330 against left-handers coming into this game.
Lucroy hit a 2-hopper to David Wright his first time up. Segura at 2nd and 2 down. Well, John is looking much sharper than he did Monday in Seattle. And he throws that big curveball and another 2-hopper. This one goes foul.
Well, Neese at 90. Go ahead, Gare, with your files.
Well, that's your high-speed pitch brought to you by Verizon Files Quantum TV. That's powerful.
Okay. And so are those 90-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Even more so the 98-mile-an-hour fastballs for Willie Peralta. But it's Neese who has the upper hand so far. Glad we got that straight. 0-1 to Lucroy. Hit in the air to right field. Pretty well hit, but Granderson's got it lined up. And that retires the side. So Neese works around the leadoff walk after 3 in Milwaukee. 1-0 New York.
That's getting another opportunity this year at the big league level. And, you know, you've seen him grow in front of our eyes. We really have. He's only 22 years old, and he feels like he's 30 because we've been hearing about him and seeing him for such a long time. This All-Star break, he did a little something different. He decided to get a tattoo. He told me right on the strip in Las Vegas for his off time. He said, you know, I'd always wanted something for a couple of years, but I was a little too shy to get one, so he finally did it. It's a neat little drawing around his right wrist, and he said it doesn't really signify anything. I just thought it looked cool, so I've always wanted to do it, and I did. And he was talking to me today about growing up and maturing. He's going to be 23 on August 6th, so in just a few days. And, you know, I asked him, hey, is this your time? Is this your time to shine? He said, you know, it's certainly been a lot of change in me since I've gotten here, but I think this is the time to do what I do. You know, on that hitting streak, he had that 22-game hitting streak in AAA, and he said, to be honest with you, I felt really good at the plate, and I had no idea I had a hitting streak until we were in Tacoma. They were there when the Mets were in Seattle. And the Tacoma television guy said it, and he heard it, and he said, wow, I have a hitting streak? Well, yeah, the next day it ended. So he said, maybe I shouldn't have known that. But he said there were some great things about that. I just felt really good about myself. I felt good at the plate. There was a series against Albuquerque, the Dodgers AAA, where I hit 5 home runs in that 3-game series. It's the best I've ever felt at the plate. And Wally Backman told the same to me. He said it's the best I've seen Flores look at the plate. Flies out there, but maybe we'll get a chance to see him take off. Gary?
Well, the hope is that what happened with Travis d'Arnaud will happen with Wilmer Flores, but got to do it.
Well, he's got to play, too. And when d'Arnaud played every day and he came back, and I don't think Wilmer is, it's going to be difficult, more difficult. And I can appreciate what he said about his hitting streak. How many times in my career I didn't know I had a hitting streak, and then I read the stat sheets that come out every day, and you find out, you go, hey, I got a 12-game hitting streak. Well, there that went that night, and then you go on to another 10 or 8 when you're red hot. That's the way I was too, so I can appreciate what Wilmer said.
So the key is never have anybody tell you have a hitting streak.
Right, don't read the papers.
You know, Keith, what's cool for me is on a personal level. I remember at spring training, I guess 5 years ago, he was 17 years old, and he barely was speaking English, but he had the courage enough to come on during one of the spring training games and talk and try and do an interview. And I really respected that. And to have the conversation with him today, 5 years later, as a 22-year-old, and just really see how he's matured, hear him talk about himself and how he thinks he's grown and what he needs to do to get better. That's pretty neat to see. Pretty cool moment.
Well, Peralta has gone to a full count on John Neese again after he walked Neese in his first plate appearance. So things continue to be dicey for Peralta, who's walked 3. However, he's still only given up 1 run. And Neese fouls it away.
And I have to reiterate here, Gary, which your point. Look at Ryan Braun in right field with Neese up. He's playing him like he's Willie McCovey of Barry Bonds.
Crazy. And at this time, Peralta gets Neese looking for his second strikeout.
Well, pretty good pitch right there. He's got that little sinker. That's a strike. That's nipping the knees.
Well, if nothing else, Neese has seen 15 pitches in 2 plate appearances. You know, one of the advantages of pitching in the National League is that you can mow your way through that pitcher spot in the batting order and keep your pitch count down, but Peralta's been unable to do that tonight. Has a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning as he faces Eric Young, who struck out his first time up.
Lucroy gets down, really a lot of stress on the knees. Look how low his bottom is almost touching the ground. You very rarely see that from a squat position. That's a lot of stress the course of a year on the knees. Oh, he's up.
Young with the 1 hopper to third. And Ramirez throws him out. And Peralta has his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. 1-0 Mets in the 4th. to you by Infinity, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. It's a beautiful night in Milwaukee. Temperature right around 80 degrees. John Neese has had the best of it so far. He's allowed just one hit over the first 3 innings and has himself a 1-0 lead. Roof open at Miller Park for the 3rd straight night. They love their summertime here because it doesn't last long.
Well, up in the upper Midwest is where we're at.
Ryan Braun has the only hit for the Brewers, a soft single to center in the first, and he takes a curveball for a strike. So, you know those rumors that have been floating around the last few days about Troy Tulowitzki maybe coming to the Mets? It's not going to happen, not anytime soon. But maybe they're trying to give a hint to Tulo in Colorado. Tonight, the Rockies are playing the Pirates. This is misadventures in promotions, folks. They're having Troy Tulowitzki Jersey Day, which is great, right? Except that the jerseys that they've given away tonight misspelled Tulowitzki's name on the jersey.
Which letter was omitted, or was there an extra letter?
The second T was left out.
Omitted.
So it was Troy Tulowitzki instead of Witzki. Yeah, that's a little embarrassing.
Someone's head's going to roll for that one.
Now, I'm assuming they're not sending him a message, right?
No.
They're not saying, hey, Tulo, we'd prefer you take your T out of town. You can only do that in Boston. Take the T out.
That's yes, I got
Strike 3 called as Braun is caught looking. 4th strikeout for Neese.
John, very sharp. Didn't mean to scream in your ear there, folks. Fastball outside corner. Got him looking.
It's okay. I do it all the time.
I don't know why I did that. I've been looking up at the motorcycles up on the center field fence.
The Harleys?
The Harleys, which is Harley Davidson Hall of Fame is here, of course. Yeah, museum, I should say.
And they bring a Harley on the field before the game, every game. They're driving around the warning track.
Some beautiful bikes.
Hogs in the parlance.
Yes.
Aramis Ramirez hit a soft liner that Daniel Murphy was able to snag his first time up. Ramirez, who started out as a teenager with the Pirates, played 9 years with the Cubs and now in his 3rd year with the Brewers. Over 1,300 Major League RBIs. 0-2 up and away. I was saying the other night that I remember Ramirez got his first Major League hit against the Mets after starting out 0 for 24 with the Pirates. There's that Harley Museum. This is some serious motorcycle.
Yeah, there certainly is. They have never been more popular.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Curveball hit to right, and Granderson steadies. 2 out.
What was the movie that did so much damage to the motorcycle industry? It was the movie that Marlon Brando made.
The Wild Ones.
The Wild Ones. The black and white, one of Marlon's earliest films of a rough crew on motorcycles.
Well, he was a very sympathetic character in that movie, I thought.
So
he was very soft-hearted inside that rough exterior.
Then you had the Hells Angels that gave them a kind of a
Easy Rider.
Yes. So they've come a long way in turning that around, and you see so many bikers, especially out in the Hamptons on the summer weekends.
Weeks takes ball one. You mean the hoity-toity bikers?
Well, I'm not going hoity-toity. No, actually, they're more in the Sag Harbor and the blue collar. The bikers are blue collar.
So you're saying there are no bikers in Amagansett?
Well, no, East Hampton would be. East and Southampton.
Chris Davis would be next.
I'm kind of anxious to get home, aren't you? I feel like I've been on the road for an ice age.
We'll be flying into New York tomorrow night. Let's open a series against the Phillies Monday night. We'll be out by the Shea Bridge Tuesday night.
Oh, we are? Okay, that's what we're doing now. Okay.
Got a noon game on Wednesday.
I'll be off on
Giants coming in for the weekend.
Got that one.
Strike on the outside corner, 3-1. Probably see Jake Peavy pitch against the Mets in a Giants uniform. He makes his debut Sunday against the Dodgers after coming over in a trade from the Red Sox today. Inside ball 4, and Weeks has a 2-out walk. Second walk given up by John Neese. The Peavy trade to San Francisco is interesting because he obviously hasn't pitched very well for the Red Sox this year, but with the Giants he gets reunited with Bruce Bochy, who was his manager in San Diego and for whom Peavy has a great deal of affection.
Well, he was in his heyday in San Diego pitching for Bochy. He was the ace of that staff, all-star.
And the other piece of that is, as Chris Davis wails at that changeup, is that he's always pitched great against the Dodgers, and nothing means more to the Giants than to have somebody who can pitch well against the Dodgers, and he'll get a chance to do that tomorrow. Dodgers just a half game behind the Giants in that NL West.
A couple other moves were made. Cardinals picked up A.J. Pierzynski, obviously with Yadier Molina out pretty much, I guess, for the year. They needed another catcher. The veteran Pierzynski joins the Cardinals. And Ryan Zimmerman on the shelf again with a hamstring. My goodness.
Cardinals, by the way, won today. Got 4 RBIs from Matt Adams. They snap a 4-game losing streak, so they're now 3-4 since Molina went down. I think Molina intends to be back by early September. I think that's the hope anyway for the Cardinals. There's the 1-2, and the curveball popped up. Murphy out, and he makes the grab to retire the side. So John Neese has put up 4 scoreless innings. Those are Harleys from another era. Mets up 1-0 after 4. Milwaukee, here are some particulars. 30th largest city in the country with just about 600,000 residents. 3 of Milwaukee's parks were designed by the architects of Central Park. And not pictured there the fact that the typewriter was invented in Milwaukee. Speaking of defunct items. Obsolescence. Willie Peralta bounces another breaking ball as we start the 5th inning. Curtis Granderson scored the only run of this game after doubling to deep center field in the 3rd. Third time around the batting order for the Mets. Granderson, Murphy, and Wright here in the 5th. Peralta has really changed the program. That's a changeup that he really had not been throwing early.
2 in a row.
Yeah. And now it's 3-1 to Granderson.
He likes to run that fastball, running away, a little slight sink outside corner to left-handers.
Granderson snapped an 0 for 18 skid with a double to center field in the third. Three-two coming.
Cracks one deep down the right field line toward the corner, and it's out of here. Curtis Granderson with a line shot just over the wall and just inside the pole. Number 15 for Granderson, and it's 2-0 New York.
Well, Murph broke out last night with a 3 for 4, and it looks like it's Granderson's turn tonight. Double and a home run. 2 rockets. 2 for 3 on the night. Full count. Fastball. He's so quick inside. Throws that 2-seamer. Too much plate, full extension, ripped.
Murphy slices one to left center. That's going to fall for a base hit. So Murphy is 2 for 3. Well, we referenced it earlier, and that's the misspelled giveaway jersey.
How could they do that? He's been there how many years?
It's supposed to be a T between the I and the Z, and somehow that passed quality control. The Rockies, by the way, have issued an apology. They said they considered not handing out the jerseys, but they knew that people had come to get them, so they did hand them out, and they plan to do a new, properly spelled jersey sometime later in the season.
And that one will be a souvenir.
Yeah,
a keepsake.
Be like one of those coins with the wrong marks on it. They become very valuable.
Yep.
David Wright is hit into a fielder's choice, drawn a walk, stolen a base tonight. Could be 2. Weeks with the turn, and the 1-4-3 double play. Well, Murphy is erased as Peralta handles the comebacker well and turns the double play.
Tailor-made. Anytime you went back to the pitcher, it should be 2.
You know what, though, Keith? We've seen so many pitchers this year have trouble throwing to bases. You never take it for granted.
I understand.
So 2 out and nobody on for Duda, who had the base hit that drove in the first Med run. Single to center field to get Granderson home after lining out to left his first at bat, and Peralta crowds him with the first pitch. By the way, Granderson had not had a single extra base hit since the All-Star break until tonight, and now he's had 2 in a row, double and now a home run. Granderson now 2 behind Duda for the club lead in home runs. Curtis with 15, Lucas with 17. Nobody else for the Mets in double figures. Contrast that with the Brewers. Brewers have, I believe, it's 6 players with 12 or more home runs. It's a whole different program here. Breaking ball popped up, and Ramirez waiting for it to come down. That retires the side. But Curtis Granderson looks like he's broken out. Double his last time up, and now a bullet that just gets over the wall in the corner. Number 15 for Granderson. 2-0 New York.
A home run by Granderson, and Lucas Duda has the other RBI. That's got him in a 2-0 lead over the Brewers. So Duda did fly out there to end that inning, or pop out I should say, to end the last inning. But Gary and Keith, I want to go back to a point you made last night. He has been so ridiculously aggressive really since he's gotten that full-time first baseman's job. It's been so noticeable too. I mean, you look at it this year alone, he's got 16 hits on the first pitch. Last year he only put the first pitch in play 22 times. So it's been an enormous difference. A couple of things. I think comfort level, obviously playing every day at first base. I think you have to give some credit to Lamar Johnson too, who I spoke with today about the message to Duda on just that, being aggressive. He said, look, he's always been selective, and that's good, but we try to get it not only to him, to everybody, but when you get your pitch, you've got to let it go. No matter what the pitch is or where it is, you look for it, and if you get it, you hit it whenever that comes in the count. And clearly there are some results here. And Lamar said this other thing, Keith, which I thought was key. He said the other thing is, tried to tell him, you got to be ready to hit every single pitch. What does that mean? He said, I'm talking, you have to be ready to hit like every pitch is a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. If you're in that mode, then you can hit anything when you get your pitch.
There's no question. And I think Lamar also mentioned, I had a conversation with him, and he remembers Duda. Lamar's been in the organization quite some time and remembers Duda in the minor leagues using the whole field. And Lucas completely got away from that. Now you're seeing, look, there's Lamar, who was quite a hitter in his day with the White Sox. I played against him in AAA. But Lucas now has had 2 base hits. I mean, one base hit, one up the middle, and one to left field. He's starting to use the whole field.
Off the end of the bat, and Young will let that fall for a base hit for Mark Reynolds.
Oh, the second hit for the Brewers, a bloop. And you got to play Reynolds deep. He's got such power. Completely fooled on that pitch. Little backdoor slide ball. Out in front, let go with one hand off the end of the bat, and then you'll take it.
So now Gene Segura, who walked his first time up, showing bunt with Wright playing back. You got the pitcher on deck, so you're certainly not bunting to sacrifice here. You're bunting for a base hit. Well, the last 2 nights, the Brewers are 0 for 19 with runners on base.
They've run into a pretty good pitching staff.
Wheeler did a great job last night. Then Mejia striking out 3 in a row after a walk. And now Neese the same tonight. Now there's happiness. Happiness is getting a foul ball at a baseball game. It's just a ball.
I never even ever got close.
Segura again trying to bunt for a hit, and he fouls it back. I got one.
I remember that.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games I went to. Got one foul ball.
In the upper deck?
No, I was in the low section at Shea. The 9th inning.
Would you sneak down?
It weren't your seats. I can't say. I don't know what the statute of limitations is.
It's the 1-2
out of the way. But Bob Apodaca threw the pitch. Rennie Stennett of the Pirates fouled it off. 1970,
early
4 maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because Apodaca made one appearance in 73, so it had to be 74, 75.
Okay.
Here's the 1-2, just inside with the cutter. 2-2 to Segura.
I never got a ball ever either, Gary. It's very, very frustrating. Jeff Innes threw one very close. It was very disturbing to me that I could never get one.
Murphy giving ground. Nice play. Gets the force. Relay by Flores. Not quite in time. That's a great play by Daniel Murphy just to get the 1 out.
Well, you never know what you get with Daniel out in the field. And it just seems to me when he doesn't have to think and he has to react, that's when he makes the good play. I've seen him make too many plays like this that are difficult and gets it done. Just terrific play by Daniel.
And the Mets came that close to turning it into a double play, but Segura beat the rap. Now Peralta up to bunt and takes a strike. Peralta sacrificed his first time up. Well, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way, Keith. that when Murphy just has to react,
yes,
he's probably better off. Because when he has time to think, sometimes he just tries to do too much.
Exactly. And when you have to just break and go make a play and bust, you haven't got time to think. And a ball's hit hard, and he makes the play, gets the lead runner.
All just stabbing at it. That's strike 2. Carlos Gomez waits on deck. Mets 2 runs and 5 hits. The Brewers no runs and 2 hits. Neese has been on his game after a shaky start in Seattle. And why shouldn't you expect him to be? After all, before that start in Seattle, John had gone 21 consecutive starts allowing 3 earned runs or less. There goes the runner. Segura trying to steal, and he is safe. Well, that surprised everybody in the ballpark. With the pitcher up trying to bunt, Segura steals second.
Not a good throw by d'Arnaud, but it wouldn't have had him anyway.
16th stolen base of the year for Segura. Now a 3-2 count to Peralta, and he can swing away.
Guys, I want you to watch after this at bat when Gomez comes to the plate. He comes up, Billie Jean from Michael Jackson is his at bat music, and he does a little Michael Jackson leg kick.
Yeah, that little leg turn that he does.
Yeah.
Peralta out to right, tagging at second Segura. Granderson's got it, and Segura will go to third. Now there are 2 out. All right, so here's Gomez coming up. They switched it up.
They changed the music.
They switched it up on him. Yep.
Carlos Gomez.
That's a bummer, I have to say.
You know what this is, Kevin?
Yeah.
This is his 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts music.
Because I liked the Michael Jackson thing was cool. I was
Billie Jean has lost standing with Carlos Gomez.
Oh, man.
She's got no hits in her tonight.
iPod shuffle. What a shame.
And 2 Ks. Exit.
And the curveball got him tied in a knot. Not too many guys change their walk-up music in the middle of the game. But that's Carlos, man.
Did he get on the phone?
This is, Jose Reyes notwithstanding, the most dynamic player in the game today. He's a bundle of joy, and he's fun to watch, and he's blossomed into a superstar. And he takes a big rip, and it's 0-2.
Got tied up inside here. Totally overpowered.
And Neese trying to strike him out for the 3rd time. Curveball bounces away. d'Arnaud can't find it. Segura coming home to score. And the Mets lead is cut to 2-1.
It's going to be a wild pitch. Kind of steal a run there, the Brewers. This is a team that's always been a power hitting team. This year, they are 3rd in the National League in stolen bases with 72. And they steal one here.
Two and two to Gomez. So a bloop single that fell in front of Chris Young. Who knows if Juan Lagares would have caught it. Murphy makes a great play, but then Segura steals second while the pitcher was up there trying to bunt. An advancing fly ball on a wild pitch, and that's how the Brewers fashion a run. 2-2 coming. Just off the corner. Tried to backdoor the cutter, and it's 3-2. Jonathan Lucroy on deck. Only the 3rd wild pitch of the year for John Neese, who does not throw many of them. 3-2 to Gomez. Curveball hit toward the hole. That'll go through. So a 2-out hit for Gomez, and now he is a stolen base threat.
And that song has a hit.
Whatever it was
a hit. Hit song.
It's his hit song. Dan Worthen out to the mound to talk to Neese before he goes after Lucroy. Two things that very rarely happen when John Neese is on the mound: a stolen base and a wild pitch. But you have to give Segura credit, because I mean, who steals a base when a pitcher's up there trying to bunt? Right? I mean, he could have easily bunted foul for strike 3 and he would have had to go back to first. It was a 2-2 pitch that he stole one, but that set up the run. Now they talk about how they're going to deal with Lucroy, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Grounded out and flied out. Well, Segura's had much to deal with, things that most of us can't even comprehend over the last couple of weeks, with the loss of his infant son. But as Ron Renicky said last night, he has come back and starting to smile a little bit, starting to play well.
Very tragic.
His teammates have been so incredibly supportive of him during what has to be just a harrowing time for.
Can you imagine? You're a father, Gary. Could you imagine?
No, it's the worst thing that could ever happen to.
Be awful. I just was in San Diego with my middle daughter, Melissa, and gosh.
Lucroy takes a strike. Tying run at first. Gomez with 19 steals, including one in this series, and he's running, but Lucroy fouls it off.
He had it stolen too. He had a jump. He is so explosive. All the good base stealers are quick. The first 2 steps, they just get it going.
Gomez 6th in the National League in stolen bases. Not a bad time to run on 0-2, and he's going, and Lucroy fouls it off again.
Well, Lucroy isn't really your classic number 2 hitter. He's not a power hitter. He's got 12 home runs, got a chance to hit 20, but he hasn't got a lot of speed. But he's hitting .314.
I think a lot of teams' notion of what constitutes an ideal number 2 hitter has changed over the years.
Well, you've gotten away from the hit and run. It's a thing of the past, and a lot of baseball people, the new guys that are in, don't like it. And okay, fine, I happen to like it, but hitters don't practice it anymore. It's a lost art. John, really quick pitch there. He almost didn't come set.
He's already thrown 28 pitches in this inning. He was cruising through the first 4, but that blue pit to start this inning has tumbled down a series of events.
He stopped there. He caught Gomez a little flat-footed.
One-two.
Slugged out to center. Long run back for Chris Young near the wall, and it's off the fence. Gomez streaking around third. He'll score the tying run. Lucroy into second with an RBI double, and the Brewers have drawn even at 2.
2-out rally. This ball was scorched. Ball's up. Fastball up, out over the plate. Four-seamer. And he's all over it. He covers it. Almost out, foot from the top of the wall. And with this guy right here, forget about it. 2 outs. He's going to be flying.
Well, he's a lot of fun to watch run.
Yeah, he is.
So now it's a 2-2 game. Ryan Braun, the batter, with the go-ahead run at second. Couple of observations. One, John Neese has often had difficulty slamming the door on big innings. It's something that, as Braun lines one to the right for a base hit, Lucroy being waved around third. Granderson's throw to the plate will be cut off, and the Brewers have the lead. Ryan Braun drives in the go-ahead run, and it's 3-2 Milwaukee.
And they're getting to Nice on pitches away. John needs to start throwing more inside. Lucroy got him away, and so did Braun right there. So they're starting to lean out over the plate. You got to start popping in. It's the third time through the order. Nice hitting by Braun.
Carlos Torres quickly to work in the Mets bullpen as Aramis Ramirez will weigh in. And he strikes one to deep center. Back goes Young. He'll get there to make the catch. And the inning comes to an end. But the Brewers starting to get great swings against John Nice. They score 3 runs to take the lead. For the 6th inning. What I was going to say before that barrage got so heavy against John Nice is that early in his career, John used to have trouble putting the brakes on an inning where things went wrong for him. It appeared for a long time as though that had been cured, but this inning really reminded you of those. But the other piece of that is, if you go back to the beginning of this inning, if Juan Lagares was playing center field, there's every chance that Nice has a 1-2-3 inning, and he appeared upset when the ball fell in front of Chris Young to start the inning, and I don't know what impact that had on him going forward, but it just you know, sometimes the value of defense gets lost, and you should never forget the value of a great defensive player.
Well, if Lagares is swinging the bat well, he's playing center field. I agree with sitting him down, giving him a spell, and you know, not too many guys can play center field like Carlos Gomez and Lagares. They're two of the finest center fielders in the game today. There's a Gold Glover right there.
Travis d'Arnaud leading off in the 6th inning. He's grounded out and flied out. And he takes a strike. d'Arnaud, Young, and Flores for the Mets in the 6th. Well, last night it was the Brewers with a 2-0 lead, and the Mets struck quickly. That was in the 9th inning. They go up 3-2 and won the game by that score. Now it's the Brewers turning the trick and turning a 2-0 deficit into a quick 3-2 lead. And we'll see if the Mets have a response. Carlos Torres had been working in the last half inning. Nice is due up 4th in this inning. And a full count to d'Arnaud. Peralta up to 95 pitches, so Brewers have their bullpen working. Zach Duke, one of 3 lefties in that Milwaukee pen. And Darno pops it up. Gomez comes in to call. 1 away.
Zach Duke having a real terrific year out of that bullpen. He's a guy that's kind of bounced around. Remember, he was part of that Gorzolani. Who was the other left-hander who was out there? Mulholland. All came up together, and he had the best year. He had the funky motion, and then they changed his motion, and he was never the same. And he's bounced around and has found a home here in Milwaukee out of the bullpen.
Young has walked and grounded out 0 for 1. Each team with 5 hits tonight. Wilmer Flores hitting 7th in the order on deck.
Young lines one down the left field line toward the corner, and it's one hop against the fence. Chris Young to second base with a 1-out double.
So the Mets get the tying run to scoring position.
Fastball, mid-thigh down, turns nicely on it. And he loves to throw that little 2-seam fastball.
That's the pitch that Chris loves. And he's got his 9th double of the year. Snapping an 0 for 9 stretch, and now Flores will try and get him in. Wilmer is 0 for 2, grounded out, flied out. Nice is out on deck. And the breaking ball in for a strike. Now, this is one of those spots where hitting the pitcher 8th might cause you to have to pinch hit for a guy an inning earlier than you normally would. But if Flores can get the game tied, then the point might be moot. Pickoff try, and Young just gets the hand back. Second time tonight that Brewers have come very close to picking Young off second base.
He's gotten back. You don't see it very often. The teams employing that pickoff at second base. Brewers don't let hitters fall, base runners fall asleep.
Oh, that's a high strike for Peralta, and he gets ahead 0-2.
Yep, Del Tiger. You just so often don't call that. It's
exactly right.
It's a strike. Call it at the letters.
If they do it consistently, that's great.
Yeah. It's also a great pitch to hit that pitch up.
And the slider just off the plate. 1-2. So Peralta up over 100 pitches now, threw 102 in 7 innings in his last start against Cincinnati. By the way, the Reds finally won a game today.
Yeah, they did. They beat the Nationals, so the Mets can close to 7.5.
Reds had lost 7 straight before Johnny Cueto got the win today. Young dancing off second, and Flores fouls it off.
Well, there's 59 games left in the Mets schedule, and they're 6 games behind the wild card. You've got St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Miami, LA, San Francisco, Atlanta ahead of them. Now, a couple of those teams are going to win the division.
Yeah, so they have 5 teams in front of them, basically, for that second wild card. 1-2 coming. Tap to the right side for Weeks. And he throws out Flores 2 away as Young goes to third. So now what do you do if you're Terry Collins? Well, what you do is you bat for John Nice. So if you had the pitcher batting 9th, well, they might walk the 8-hitter anyway. But Nice very unhappy. You see him banging that bat in the runway there, and Bobby Abreu is going to hit for him.
He's unhappy that he had that rough inning. He would hit right now.
Well, Ron Reinecke's heading out to the mound. He's got the left-hander up in the bullpen, so he might go to Zach Duke here to pitch to Abreu. Then the Mets have plenty of right-handed bats if they wanted to go that way.
Well, he's gotten the only left-hand pinch hitter off the bench.
So that's going to be all for Peralta. He'll leave after 5 2/3. And 103 pitches on the night. Call to the bullpen is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. The veteran Zach Duke on to pitch for the Brewers. We'll be right back. Been wonderful for the Brewers this year, making his 48th appearance.
And you see his numbers. They're outstanding against both sides. Really wicked on left-handers. You got a guy pinch hitting in Campbell. Terry has made a counter move. Who's 7 for 14 as a pinch hitter.
Well, Bray was announced as the pinch hitter, but with Duke in the game, Campbell gets the call. Campbell's bat has slowed of late. He did have an infield hit, banked off the pitcher. That was a hit on review last night.
Campbell is 16 for 48 against left-handers. That's .333 with 7 RBI and a home run.
So the tying run, Young is on third, 2 out. Campbell the pinch hitter, and Duke's curveball misses low for ball 1. Eric Young is on deck. Well, John Neese deserves for the Mets to at least get him off the hook. He had a tumble down 5th inning. And he is one unhappy customer right now. Curveball in for a strike, 1-1. Duke, who started out as a starting pitcher with the Pirates, is found a niche as a reliever the last couple of years.
Drop sidearm.
He's done that more and more. Throwing more cutters than ever before. He was with Cincinnati last year after starting the year in Washington. Here's the 2-1. On the way. 2-2. Peralta went 5 2/3, allowed 6 hits, 2 runs so far, walked 3, struck out 2, a wild pitch and a home run. 2-2 to Campbell, and he got him swinging. Curveball from Duke got him to chase, and that gets the Brewers through the top of the 6th. 3-2 Milwaukee. Milwaukee, the Brewers 3, the Mets 2. Carlos Torres will come out of the bullpen behind John Neese, who went 5 innings, allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He's on the losing side, and now Torres will pick it up.
Well, Torres, those 61 in the 3rd innings are way up there in innings pitched for relievers in the National League, and he's going to get a lot more work the remaining 2 months of the season with Daisuke going on the DL. He has taken over the middle relief load, but he certainly loves to get the ball and pitch.
Well, in between innings, the highlight of any game at Miller Park, the sausage race. Let's send it to the public address announcer.
Sausages. Stop clowning around. Get ready. Get set. Go. And they're on their way down.
It's actually a blowout today, folks.
A little wobbling. Italian and chorizo duking it out, but they're past home plate now. That means they're into the home.
Oh, the sombrero.
3rd, Polish. 4th is hot dog. 5th is bratwurst. And the winner.
I think it was a dead giveaway, Keith, when they served tacos in the press room, that chorizo was going to win the sausage race.
Yes, that heartburn special.
You have to be able to read the tea leaves. Ricky Weeks leads off against Torres in the home 6th. Weeks grounded out and walked 0 for 1. Well, it's nights like these that if you're a starting pitcher, you really hate the fact that you can't go back to the mound for 5 days. John Neese pitched wonderfully for 4 innings, and then all of a sudden everything fell apart in the 5th. Some of his doing and some not of his doing. And what was a 2-0 lead turned into a 3-2 deficit, and now he's out of the game. Torres worked last night after going 6 days without pitching through a scoreless inning. Wound up being the winning pitcher when the Mets rallied in the 9th. Here facing Weeks, Davis, and Reynolds in the 6th inning. Cutter in for a strike, 2-2 to Weeks. Interesting that Torres is being used 2 days in a row like this, because with Daisuke Matsuzaka now on the disabled list, Torres figures to be the long man in this bullpen. Here being used in a more of a middle role. Fires that one by Weeks, and he strikes out the first man to face him.
Fastball up and in. Oh boy, belt high. Had some play, just threw it by him. Dreadlocks. He's always had those dreadlocks.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Chris Davis is grounded out and popped up 0 for 2. Keith mentioned earlier that the Nationals lost this afternoon. They began the day with a 2.5 game lead over the Braves. Atlanta hosting San Diego tonight, and Braves up 5-3 in the 5th. And Davis takes a strike. Buddy Carlisle just back from AAA, back up in the Mets bullpen. He took Daisuke's spot on the roster with Matsuzaka going on the disabled list. Out to right field. Granderson back to the warning track, back at the wall, and he makes the catch. That ball really carried the other way for the powerful Chris Davis. 2 out. We'll be back on Pix 11 August 9th when the Mets take on the Phillies. That's Saturday, August 9th at 7:30 p.m. Mets and Phillies, New York's own Pix 11. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Mark Reynolds. Reynolds hit the bloop single to center that got the whole thing started for the Brewers in the 5th inning. 1 for 2 on the night, 2 for 5 in the series.
They're going to get a right-hander ready.
Reynolds hits one to deep left center field. Young goes back, looks up near the wall, and it's out of here. Number 17 for Mark Reynolds.
The Brewers now lead at 4-2.
I tell you, he's got some power. He's an all or nothing guy, and there was no doubt when that ball left his bat. He likes that ball out over the plate and down. And that's where he gets it. And he knew it. That's a bomb.
Well, he may strike out a lot, but he's got some kind of power.
It's a cutter that doesn't really cut the side of the ball. There's this little circle, and it just didn't do anything.
Gene Segura takes low and inside. Segura was the catalyst in the Brewers' 3-run third. He reached on a fielder's choice, stole second while the pitcher was up trying to bunt, took third on a fly ball, and scored on a short wild pitch. Curveball for a strike, 1-2. Well, Mark Reynolds is one of the few guys who's made Citi Field look small.
I remember it well.
And in this ballpark, which is much more conducive to home runs, he thrives. Segura drives one down the right field side and just foul.
Wow.
That came awfully close to hitting the foul pole.
You just lose sight of the ball there with that facade there.
I mean, the facade is just in foul territory. The pole is right behind it.
And then we lose sight in the corner. You had to wait for the umpire's call on Granderson's home run earlier. It was right down the line. We lost it. Line drive low.
Well, you can't get much closer to the field than that, can you?
No.
That overhang?
That is basically our view right there, folks. We kind of, you can see where we lose it in the corner. So we have to rely on our trusty director, Bill Webb.
Well, it's true in most of the newer ballparks where the effort has been made to push the fans as close to the field as possible.
Sometimes Bill's a little slow changing the camera. You know, we have to wait for the umpire call like tonight, but you know, it's very rare.
Popped it up. Murphy with the angle. Granderson coming in to call, and Granderson's got it in fair territory to retire the side. But the Brewers expand their lead on one big swing from Mark Reynolds, his 17th of the year. And now it's 4-2 Milwaukee as we head for the 7th. Bank. That's the spot at County Stadium, where Hank Aaron's final home run of his career landed. County Stadium was right next door to where we are right now at Miller Park. Now it's part of the parking lot. Miller Park opened in 2001. Retractable roof. It's been open all 3 nights of this series. Here's Bernie Brewer, who takes his trip down the slide every time the Brewers get a home run. Landing on a platform, not in his mug of beer like he used to at County Stadium. Don't ask why.
I played a World Series in that old ballpark.
Eric Young leads off against Zach Duke as we start the 7th inning. Young, the number 9 hitter, 0 for 2 tonight, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Duke came in with a tying run at 3rd of the 6th and struck out Eric Campbell. Now the Brewers with a 2-run lead as Eric Young starts the 7th.
Well, Ron Renicky, the skipper of the Brewers, wants an inning out of Duke, of course, with Granderson and Murphy behind, and he will, if he gets to right is not going to face Duke. They're going to have a right-hander ready for him.
And they've got a right-hander up in the bullpen. That's Jeremy Jeffress. Backdoor breaking ball misses. 1-2 to Young. Willie Peralta went 5 2/3, allowed 2 runs, 6 hits, walked 3, struck out 2, and he is pitcher of record on the long side. And Eric with a late swing almost skimmed one over the bag. You got the first baseman Reynolds again playing way off the line.
Yes.
Brewers have been doing a lot of that in this series, playing that first baseman over in the hole. You risk giving up the double or triple that way. You know the Mets have had only 8 triples this year, and they play in a ballpark that should yield a bunch of them.
Yes.
But they've had fewer triples than any team in the majors. And Young down swinging. Duke's faced 2 batters, struck them both out. Well, just before the game today, they had ceremonies honoring the newest inductees into the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame. And they have a very nice exhibit here honoring all the old Negro League teams. See the Kansas City Monarchs cap there.
Look at the old mask.
Great legacy that they're assuring will not fade away. And a couple of the Negro Leaguers being honored today, guys in their late 80s and 90s, throwing out first pitches. One of them took a little tumble, but he was okay.
He got a little exuberant. It was one of the 2 guys that threw out the first pitch, and they terrific tosses. So it was really a nice event what they had down there in honor of the Negro Leagues and the players.
Curtis Granderson's had a breakout night, doubled against the center field fence in the 3rd, and then drilled a home run down the right field line of the 5th, his 15th of the year. Each team with 6 hits. Mets down a pair as they bat in the 7th. And Granderson takes one at the knees. 2-2.
Well, you can see why Duke's having such a terrific year. Earned run average below 2, well below 2. He is painting.
And he gets Granderson with a curveball. So Duke's faced 3 batters and struck out all 3.
Well, when I got a guy that drops down, it makes it real tough on a left-hander.
He has really changed his arm angle from when we first saw him with the Pirates. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Murphy, who's 2 for 3 today, 5 for 11 in the series. And he has good career numbers against Duke, 3 hits and 5 at bats. See if he's the first Met who can handle him. And Murphy going after that cutter, 0-1.
Murph hitting .323 against left-handers this year. That is 3rd in the National League. Hitting considerably higher against lefties than righties this year.
3rd among left-hand hitters.
Yes, left-hand hitters. Yes. I'm sorry. Thanks for clarifying that.
That's okay. Just thinking about David Wright, who's sitting over 400,
which is only third for right for the league, right?
Well, Duke looking dominant, ahead on Murphy 0-2, and he comes low and in.
Well, drop down Laredo here. Everything's pretty basic until he goes sidearm on you. That's a little more over the top. He tried to throw a fastball in there. He's going to come back with a slide ball. No, they may come with a fastball, trying to trick Murph.
Did anybody call it Laredo before David Cohn?
David Cohn got it from me.
Did he?
Yeah, my brother and I got it from my brother.
Is that right?
Yes.
South of the border?
South of the border. Very good. I'm sure someone got it before my brother.
2-2 coming. Well, the first time I ever heard it was in reference to the way David used to drop down his Laredo delivery.
Yes.
Full count to Murphy with 2 out and nobody on. And he walked him. So Murph works his way back from an 0-2 count to get on base and get David Wright to the plate. It's the tying run. Now you'd have to believe that they'll bring in the right-hander to face David, but maybe not.
Maybe not. There he comes, of course.
So Ron Renicky might have thought about it for just a moment. He's got the hard-throwing Jeremy Jeffress from the right side. Will Smith up from the left side for Duda if the inning continues past Wright. So Duke faces 4 batters, strikes out the first 3, and then walks Murphy. He'll exit. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Jeffress coming in. We'll be right back. Jeremy Jeffress has come full circle, and he'll now make his second appearance in his latest incarnation with Milwaukee.
Well, he's only had 1 inning pitch since coming up, and he faced 3 batters and got them all out. Two lefties and a righty.
He was with Toronto earlier this year. They let him go. Jeffress, who never quite made it after being that first-round pick in 2006, went to Kansas City, then Toronto, and the Brewers are hoping that the hard-throwing righty, who's always had control issues, can figure it out. And he'll face David Wright tying run at the plate in a 4-2 game. Wright is 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Murphy at first and 2 out. And David takes the fastball inside for ball 1.
It's a big out for him to get right here. Obviously, David with one swing can tie this Wago.
Well, this will be the only man Jeffress faces with Duda on deck.
And they're covering the lines as they should. Let the 7th inning on. The corner infielders, that is.
David bangs one off his leg, a foul ball, 1-1. Duda waiting on deck. Will Smith, the lefty, up in the bullpen, ready for him. Coming, and Wright grounds one toward third. That is a fair ball, and Ramirez throws him out to end the inning. So Jeffress comes in and gets his man. 7th inning stretch, 4-2 Milwaukee. Monday.com today. Chris Sale, 12 strikeouts through 8 innings. White Sox lead the Twins 7-0 in the ninth. The Mariners got 7 scoreless innings from Chris Young, the former Met, for his 9th win. They beat the Orioles 4-3, and the Blue Jays finally won at Yankee Stadium. Dan Johnson a homer and 4 RBIs. They beat the Yankees 6-4. Lyle Overbay will be the pinch hitter for the Brewers as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Overbay played first base last night. Went 1 for 3 and a walk. They'll face Carlos Torres, who gave up a run in the 6th on a long homer to Mark Reynolds and a curveball for a strike. John Neese went the first 5 for New York, allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, walked 2, struck out 4. And Overbay goes after the curveball, and it's 0-2.
Good breaking ball from Torres there. And again, Gary, the Mets offense. I know we got a couple more. You got 2 more cracks at the Brew Crew. But again, the offense having difficulty scoring runs.
And Overbay done on 3 pitches. Torres has his 2nd strikeout.
A good old running fastball. That's something new on the repertoire of Torres. Usually he's got that natural cutter like Mejia. That ball ran away from the left-hander.
Now Carlos Gomez who has struck out twice and then rolled a base hit through the right side in the 5th inning. Came around to score the tying run. Brewers got all 3 of their runs in the 5th against John Neese. All of them scoring after 2 were out. And a check swing on a pitch in the dirt, and he stopped it in time. 1-0. Tampa Bay's at it again. Rays going for their 9th straight. They lead Boston 2-0 in the 6th. Starting to insinuate themselves back into the race.
Certainly in the wild card.
Well, if they win tonight, they'll be 6.5 back of Baltimore in the division. 1-1 to Gomez. The big game is out west. That is the Dodgers and the Giants. Clayton Kershaw on the mound against Ryan Vogelsong. No score in the 2nd. Did you see what Yasiel Puig did last night?
Yes, I did.
3 triples and a double. First Dodgers since 1901 to have 3 triples in a game. How is that even possible? Now I know Ebbets Field, that was tough triples park. It was such a bandbox, but Dodger Stadium, never all these years. Nobody had 3 triples in a game. I mean, Doug Flynn had 3 triples in a game for the Mets. There are the standings in the West. Dodgers with a win tonight can go back in first. Zach Greinke was great last night. 10 strikeouts in 7 innings, including 4 in 1 inning. That ties a record.
Oh, that one in the dugout.
Shot right into the Brewers dugout. Unfortunately, everybody is okay.
Jeez.
It was Scooter Gennett who nearly got nailed. Scooter's been sitting out with a quad injury and escaped that one with his life. Here's the 1-2. Popped up foul off to the right, and that'll go out of play. Gennett has been terrific for the Brewers this year, but he's had that quad pull. Ron Rudnicke said there's every chance he'll be in the lineup tomorrow for the last game of the series. Might have played today, but with a lefty on the mound, they figured to stick with the right-hand batter Weeks.
An extra day sometimes is better, just to play it safe. Those muscle pulls in the legs.
Curveball squibbed out to Murphy. He's got to hurry with it, and he gets Gomez by a stride for the 2nd out.
They love Lucroy here, don't they?
They ought to. By the way, did you see the fact that apparently some of the Brewer players were upset with the fact that Frankie Rodriguez got booed last night?
He wasn't booed that heavily.
He was barely booed at all.
I agree.
But
come play in New York
for a day. Come on.
I know. It's just kind of a brotherhood there.
I mean, Frankie got booed in New York a lot more than he got booed here last night. He knows how to handle it. He had that great closer comment.
Yes.
Every time a closer blows a game, they always say the same thing. There's nothing I can do about it now. Well, yeah. It's the then that
I understand.
Do something about. not the now. Lucroy strokes one out to right. Granderson got fooled by it, now going back to get it. It took a bad angle, but Curtis able to recover, and that retires the side. On to the 8th we go. Lucas Duda to lead off. Will Smith coming on for the Brewers. 4-2 Milwaukee. Baseball is brought to you by your local Tri-State Kia retailers. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more. Line score brought to you by your local Acura dealer. Mets at a 2-0 lead. Brewers got 3 in the 5th. Got a Mark Reynolds home run in the 6th. 4-2 Milwaukee as we go to the 8th.
Well,
and the Fresh Prince of Noonan, Georgia is on the pitch.
Will Smith, of course. And he pitched a third of an inning last night's ball game. Struck out Granderson. He has just had a tremendous year. And that's going to have Frankie Rodriguez hopefully up for a redemption in the 9th.
Well, Lucas Duda will lead off for the Mets in the 8th. And then a couple of right-hand bats, Darno and Chris Young, due up. Duda today 1 for 3, singled in a run in the 3rd. He's also lined out and popped up.
And Lucas has had his problems against left-handers this year. It's something he needs to work on, hitting 161 against lefties this year and only 2 extra base hits, a double and a home run.
Well, Terry Collins said that's the next step for Lucas.
Correct.
To be able to play every day regardless of who's on the mound.
He will if he starts using left center field.
Curveball from Smith for a strike.
He must use left center field for one reason, Gary. He's out in front and then pulling with the sliders. So they're going to keep throwing him the sliders. So if he starts taking to left center field, then they're going to have to change the program.
Tries to lay off and he stopped it in time. 1-1. Jerry's Familia and Buddy Carlisle up in the Mets bullpen. Duda goes after the slider. 1-2.
That is the slider that he swings at. It's not in the strike zone. It breaks out of the strike zone. He's way out in front. He's got to learn to slow it down, take it over the shortstop's head, and he'll get there.
Darno waiting on deck. 1-2 to Duda. Curveball away. 2-2. Brewers got an inning out of Zach Duke, who struck out 3. Jeremy Jeffress got David Wright on a ground ball to end the 7th. Smith, the 4th Milwaukee pitcher of the night. Two. Strike 3 called. He knew it. He had thrown him all that breaking stuff and froze him with a fastball.
It's just a good pitch. Fastball away after so many breaking balls. It just zips right by you. It sneaks right by you. And you're just caught just like that.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Darno, who's 0 for 3 tonight, just 1 for 10 in this series. Each team with 6 hits. And the breaking ball misses away for ball 1. Ron Renick's team began the day with the best record in the National League. Just 12 games over 500. That's craziness. Late July and no team in the National League's more than 12 games over 500.
Well, the boys at Park Avenue want parity, and they've got it. They got a lot of teams in the hunt. Keeps people in the ballpark.
I mean, in the American League, got Oakland. They're 24 games over 500.
And who would have thought Oakland? I mean, they do it every year.
Well, they certainly outperform their payroll every year.
That's for sure.
Milwaukee, another middle market team, but they are trying to turn things around here after a miserable season last year that featured a lot of losing and a noted suspension to their star player. Braun is back this year, and the Brewers have built a big lineup around him. Now the question is, do they have enough pitching to go the distance?
The Dodgers, to me, are going to be awful tough to beat.
1-2 to Darno, and the breaking ball he lays off. 2-2. Well, what a difference a year makes for the Brewers. At this point last year, they were 21 games under 500. Braun was under suspension for the rest of the year, and their year was over.
Role reversals.
This year, 16 games better. And sitting atop that NL Central. 2-2. And Darno lays off, and it's a full count. '25-year-old Will Smith came over in the trade for Nori Aoki from Kansas City, and he has filled an important niche in this Brewers bullpen. 3-2 coming to Darno, and he fouls away the fastball.
Good cut by Darno. Good two-strike hitting. Darno's become, I think, one of the few good two-strike hitters in this lineup. And for a young guy, it's saying a lot.
And what makes him a good two-strike?
He's a tough out with 2 strikes. He bears down.
And he takes strike 3 call. Fastball got him looking. And Darno,
there's a strike.
Stops for a small chat with Mark Ripperger. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. So back-to-back call third strikes for Will Smith to start this 8th inning. And now Chris Young, who's had a walk and a double tonight, 1 for 2. Getting the start in center field with Juan Lagares getting the day off. And takes a curveball from Will Smith for a strike. Mets have gone 7 straight games where they failed to score more than 3 runs. The remarkable thing is that they've won 3 of those 7 games because their pitching has been so good. But your margin for error is so small.
Well, it's a little taste of how it was for Seaver and Kuzma in Matlack, you know.
It's interesting you mentioned Seaver because Felix Hernandez last night had his 13th straight start, going at least 7 and giving up no more than 2 runs. Only Seaver had ever done that before.
He gave up only a run. It was a home run, I believe. Solo shot early in the game.
But Seaver, it wasn't in one of his big victory years. It was in 1971 when he was just completely dominant, but the Mets never scored for him. He had 13 straight starts of 7 innings and 2 runs or less. And nobody else had done that since 1900 except for Seaver and now King Phillips. Fastball just off the plate. 2-2. Seaver in 71 had a 1.76 ERA. He went 20-10, but with any run support, it would have been much more.
Young drives one deep left field toward the wall, and it's off the fence. Second double of the night for Chris Young. So Young getting a chance to play, 3rd time in the last 4 days, and coming through. A walk and now 2 base hits.
And now with no left-hander on the bench, Abreu down was used earlier. And they brought in a left-hander, so he's done. So you got to stay with Flores here.
Well, there's no right-hander up in the bullpen, so it's going to be Smith. So this works in the Mets' favor. Flores 0 for 3.
He's going to stay with Smith, so be bright.
Yeah, there's nobody up. The bullpen's quiet. They're just waiting for Smith to get through this inning and get to K-Rod for the night.
So strike that statement.
Counselor.
Surprised he wouldn't have Frankie up or another right-hander. But this Will Smith, he's got complete confidence in.
Yeah, and K-Rod's at a point in his career after throwing 23 pitches last night. I don't think they'd want to go more than an inning with him today.
Yep.
Flores 0 for 3. He's the tying run at the plate in a 4-2 game. And he pops for a foul, backing out of play, 1-1. The pitcher spot is due up next, and Juan Lagares is on deck to pinch hit. Lagares, Tejada, and Recker are the three left on the Mets bench. Flores 2 ground balls and a fly ball today. 1 for 6 since his recall. Takes the fastball low, 2-1. Young at second and 2 out. And Flores watches wide. Now it's 3-1. Now you got Lagares on deck to pinch hit. He's only had 1 pinch hitting at bat this year. Tejada's got a little more experience pinch hitting. But Terry's called us for Lagares, who was working very hard early today on extra batting practice, trying to get his stroke going.
Lagares is the call if it gets to that point. And I think he's got to lead off the. If Flores makes out, Lagares will be the leadoff pinch hitter next inning.
You might just double switch.
Double switch. You could double switch.
And you improve your defense anyway. But first it's Flores trying to come through against Will Smith with a runner at second and 2 out. Three-2. And the curveball got him looking. 3 called third strikes in the inning for Will Smith. And he works around the double from Chris Young. That'll send us to the bottom of the 8th, 4-2 Milwaukee. Test drive one today at your local Volvo dealership and experience the wonder of summer.
Torres back out there for a 3rd inning.
Ellis gave up a home run to Mark Reynolds in the 6th inning, the only base runner he's allowed through his 2. They'll face Ryan Braun, who's 2 for 3. Drove in the go-ahead run with an opposite field single against John Neese in the 5th. And Frankie Rodriguez, fresh off his blown save last night, ready to try again tonight.
Blown save with an L, with a Larry on it.
BS, L.
Not a good night at the bar, at the office.
Braun, Ramirez, and Weeks trying to add to the Brewers' lead in the home 8th inning. And Braun takes a big rip. 0-1. Ramos Ramirez next. Braun takes a nice looking fastball for a strike. 0-2. Chris Sale got the win for the White Sox tonight. He's now 10-1. 12 strikeouts in 8 innings. And Braun chases one out of the strike zone, and Torres has his 3rd strikeout.
That's quick work. Straight fastball.
So 1 out and nobody on in the home 8th. Now Ramos Ramirez. By the way, the Mets did not double switch Lagares into the game as we thought they might. So it'll be the pitcher's spot. Eric Young and Granderson due up for the Mets in the 9th against K-Rod. I mean, you have to presume that's still going to be Lagares, although it could be Tejada leading off the inning. Maybe his higher on base percentage would
possibly. That's a good point.
Terry to go that direction.
That's a very good point.
I think if he were going to use Lagares in that spot leading off, that he would have double switched Juan into the game. But maybe he needed 3 innings out of Torres, and maybe that plays into it as well. All those things that a manager has to think
right.
about.
The whole thing hinged around whether you're going to throw Torres out there for a 3rd inning or not. And with a day game tomorrow, Gary, I don't feel you're going to use him anyway after 2 innings pitched.
That's why Terry has so many different colors on that pen. You've got the who am I going to pinch hit color, the how many innings do I need out of my reliever color, the do I double switch in this spot color. It's kind of like you and all your
my scorecards.
Colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Terry's always on point.
Ramirez 0 for 3 tonight, and he lifts one down the right field line. Long run for Granderson. Into foul ground, and a nice catch right before he got to the sidewall. Good play by Granderson for the 2nd out.
You got a checked out where the wall was, makes the play. Little skid there.
Eschewing the slide. So 2 out and nobody on. Fine effort by Torres. Other than that Reynolds home run, he's gotten every man he's faced. Now it's Ricky Weeks, who's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Mets 2 runs, 7 hits. The Brewers 4 runs and 6 hits. One ill-fated inning for John Neese in the 5th. A blue pit, an unlikely stolen base, a wild pitch, and then a couple of RBI hits for Lucroy and Braun with 2 out, all combining to put 3 runs across the plate before John could blink. Let's see. Duda's the 6th man up in the 9th. Just thought I'd throw that in for reference.
Well, that would be
after last night.
It would be a serious rally if we get there.
Well, it could be like bases loaded 2 out, or something even bigger.
This would be a big rally.
Yeah. Just saying. I'm sure K-Rod's considered that. He hit at the knees for a strike, and Weeks did not like that.
Borderline. I thought it was low.
Those are some strikes that Travis d'Arnaud can steal for you. Certainly appeared to steal that one. One-two from Torres, and Weeks takes it high. By the way, when the Mets won last night, it was the 4th time this year that they had won a game where they trailed after 8 innings. Only 2 teams have more. The Giants and the A's have each won 5 games when they trailed after 8. Two. 1-0 count. Chris Davis on deck. Ricky Weeks in his 10th year as a Milwaukee Brewer. A really good year. 3 years ago, hit 29 home runs. Not much since. Broken bat, and that sneaks through for a base hit. So the second hit given up by Torres, a 2-out single to Weeks, shattered his bat, but got a hit anyway. And now Chris Davis will come to bat with a man on. In Philadelphia tonight, Marlon Byrd has his 20th home run of the year.
He's quite a hitter, isn't he?
Ageless.
What a comeback. It's a good ballpark for him.
Amelia up in the bullpen. Well, I mean, had a great 2/3 of the year for the Mets last year, and then the Mets were able to cash him in and get 2 very important chips in return.
Driven to right center, slicing away from Young. He won't get to it. Hops up against the fence. Weeks being waved around third. Murphy makes the relay throw to the plate on a hop. Safe. And the Brewers lead 5-2. Davis goes all the way to third.
Ball's ripped right here. Cutter that stayed out over the middle and just out of the reach of Chris Young. High relay. I don't think it would have made a difference. Weeks runs too good. Very close, but obviously safe. See how he cuts the corners here. 2 outs. I don't know what he was looking for. You just got to run. He didn't make good turns at all. That's why it was such a close play.
I know you see didn't block the plate till he had the ball. Didn't matter. Weeks got through. And now it's 5-2 Milwaukee. Now Mark Reynolds, who homered against Torres his last time up, takes a strike. They're going to score a double for Davis. Third on the throw to the plate. 25th double of the year for Davis. He's got a lot of sock.
He does. He's got some pop.
I'm not even sure he got the fat part of the bat on that ball. Your Mazda play of the game, Mark Reynolds with a bomb. Brought to you by the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. Reynolds flies one foul. 1-2. I was going to say about Marlon Byrd, the Mets got 2 really nice chips back for him. Vic Black and Dilson Herrera, who's having a great time of it at AA. Fine young second baseman, just 21 years old. I wonder what the Phillies are going to get for him. Because you have to figure they're trying to trade him.
Try to get some youth, but they need to get young.
Now they did give Marlon 2 years, right?
I believe they did.
Mets were not going to give him 2 years, and that's how he ended up in Philly. But he would be a valuable chip for somebody with the dearth of offense around baseball. Phillies are going to be a very interesting team to watch over the next 5 days before the trading deadline. Of course, they'll be at Citi Field on Monday. 1-2, and he just got a piece of that to stay alive. It was funny. Terry Collins was saying to me the other day, he said, "We're playing the Phillies, and I have no idea who's going to be playing for them."
Exactly.
Josh Edgen up in the bullpen. I mean, Cliff Lee pitched tonight. He was so again, gave up 9 hits in 5 innings. He's got so much money coming to him, and he was just on the disabled list. He's had 2 so-so starts. He's coming off. Are they going to be able to trade him?
Well, the word is that the Phillies are just asking a king's ransom for their players. So,
well, you can do that now and then back down as you get closer to the deadline. Darno a little shaken by that last foul ball. One-two coming to Reynolds. And he tops one toward third. Right with the running toss.
Safe. He came off the bag and a run scores. Terry Collins pops out, and we'll see if the Mets challenge it. Have to figure they will. Duda trying to stay on the bag. But Dan Bellino, the first base umpire, said he came off. So if the play stands, Chris Davis scores to make it 6-2.
So this is something you always see right now. Managers arguing with their facing their dugout as they wait for the word. And they're going to do it anyway without any, because this is so late in the ball game. Let's see. He's out. He's on the bag.
He was on the bag. Nice stretch by Duda. So this one may get overturned. Mets had one overturned in their favor in last night's game. Bob Guerin says, I think we got it.
It's like, what are they looking at, these umpires today? I really see some bad umping at first base. That's where I see it mainly today. A lot of blown calls at first base.
I agree with you, Keith. I think that's one of the things we've seen over the last 5 years. It used to be the first base was the most routine place to umpire because so many of the calls there can be handled not only on sight but on sound, with the sound of the ball hitting the glove, sound of the foot hitting the base, and it just seems as though the level of umpiring on those calls at first has gone downhill. The Mets are walking off the field. They've seen the replay and believe it's going to be overturned. They got reprimanded for doing this in Philadelphia.
The third base coach is coming in for the Brewers.
And they do indeed overturn the call, and so the inning is over. So it's a 5-3 putout. We'll see if the Mets get reprimanded again walking off the field before the call was overturned. They'll come up in the ninth, trailing 5-2. Was brought to you by Six Flags. Save big on Six Flags Great Adventure tickets at sixflags.com. By the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. By Time Warner Cable. Enjoy more shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. By your Tri-State Ford dealer for great deals on cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers. Visit tristateford.com. By TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. And by Chevrolet. Visit chevydealer.com. Francisco Rodriguez, who blew the save last night, on to try and save it tonight. Juan Lagares pinch hits for New York. And the first pitch fastball is in for a strike.
There's Frank's numbers right there. He's trying to, like Gary said, going to bounce back from last night. 3-run lead.
Half swing. He stopped it in time. Well, last night, K-Rod suffered his 4th blown save of the year. He has 29 saves for the season. Frankie comes into the night 12th on the all-time major league save list. Two and one to Lagares. Eric Young on deck, then Curtis Granderson. And Lagares fouls it away. 2-2. K-Rod trying to save it for Willie Peralta, who went the first 5 2/3, allowed 2 runs and 6 hits. An inning from Zach Duke, a batter from Jeremy Jeffress, an inning from Will Smith, and now K-Rod trying to close it out. And the Mets hoping to find another 9th inning rally against their former closer. On the all-time save list, and he's only 31 years old. 2-2 coming, and Lagares goes around. Strike 3. 1 out.
High fastball out of the strike zone. Ties him up. Tries to stop his swing.
He's just all messed up.
Yeah,
right
he
now.
is. He certainly is.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Eric Young, who's gone 0 for 3 tonight, 2 strikeouts and a ground out. Corners in against EY and his ability to bunt his way on. And he takes the curveball high.
Well, everybody will be taking a first strike here, down 3 runs to 9th. They're still here.
That hair still looks perfect.
Looking for Lex Luthor.
Stay away from the kryptonite. 2-0 to EY. Granderson on deck if anybody gets on Murphy. If the Mets do not score 2 runs or more in this 9th inning, it'll be their 8th straight game with 3 runs or less. It's a tough way to win. EY's taking all the way on 2-0. Needs to get on base any way he can. Takes a high strike, and it's 2-2.
Again, this is a strike. That's really belt high.
Just a strike that isn't generally called these days.
And home plate umpire Mark Ripperger is a high ball umpire. And I don't really call him a high ball umpire. It's a strike.
2-2 coming. This is with a fastball, full count. Well, if you're K-Rod, the last thing in the world you want to do is walk Eric Young.
Yes.
Or anybody at this point. Let's need base runners any way they can get them. Lucas Duda hoping it gets down to him. But the Mets would have to get 3 men on. 3-2 to Eric Young, and he pulls one. Base hit. Drawn to the line to play, and EY heads to second, and he'll pull in with a 1-out double. And the Mets have life in the 9th. 9th double of the year for Eric Young.
Well, the Mets don't quit, do they? They do not die. That looked like a change. No, it's a little fastball. A little sink, too much plate, down in the strike zone. Good hitting.
So now the Mets need 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. Curtis Granderson, a double and a home run to snap out of a slump tonight. Each team now with 8 hits, and Granderson pulls off the changeup. 0-1.
And that's that patent Frankie change.
Young at second and one out.
And Granderson pulls one down the right field line. Foul.
Just got a little bit ahead of the changeup.
Frankie is not sharp. He, of course, got hit hard last night. He's just been up with his pitches. Couldn't get his curveball over last night. He hasn't thrown his breaking pitch yet today. He did not have it last night. And don't think he doesn't want to close this game out.
Granderson 2 for 10 in his career against K-Rod. Murphy on deck, right behind him. Granderson behind 0-2.
On the outside corner, Granderson caught looking. 2 men down. And Granderson,
borderline strike, outside corner, Gare. 2 straight changeups, heading the count. It's too close to take that fastball.
It's the four-seamer.
Too close to take. I don't see LaCroix moving the glove at all.
Well, the Brewers bullpen has recorded 9 outs. 8 of the 9 have come via the strikeout. Murphy trying to keep the Mets alive. He's been on base 3 times tonight with 2 singles and a walk.
and Daniel drives one to right. Braun coming on, sliding, and he made the catch, and the ball game is over. Frankie Rodriguez able to bounce back despite some hard hit balls in the inning. The Mets comeback falls short as Braun makes the sliding catch to end it.
A sinking line drive. Nice play by Braun to end the ball game. Rodriguez throwing the only breaking pitch he threw in the inning. 30th save. Again, the Mets offense unable to score. Nice, the one tough inning, Gare, was the first 4 innings was solid. Gave up 3 in the 5th.
Brewers bullpen struck out 8 over the final 3 and a third innings behind Willie Peralta. As you look at the game summary brought to you by Nissan, shop ChooseNissan.com. 8th straight game the Mets have failed to score more than 3 runs, and they fall to 4-5 on this road trip with 1 game left to play. Again, the Mets led 2-0, but they fall to the Brewers tonight 5-2. Milwaukee's taken 2 of the first 3 in this series. We'll come back with more from Miller Park in just a moment.